Today, we're going to talk about something that's all around us, but a lot of the time, it's pretty much invisible. Think of it like the hidden architecture of our society, the blueprints that kind of shape our lives from the very beginning. We're going to break down a key concept that explains a lot: social stratification.
Have you ever really thought about this? I mean, why is it that two people can start out in the same town, maybe even the same neighborhood, and end up on wildly different paths in life? That question gets right to the heart of what we're exploring today.
Well, a big part of the answer often lies in what you could call society's uneven blueprint. See, it helps to think of society not as some level playing field, but more like a complex building. It's a structure designed with different floors, different rooms, and a whole lot of different access points, all depending on who you are.
Now, there's a term for this blueprint: social stratification. It sounds a little academic, I know, but it's really just a system where society ranks people into a hierarchy. And this ranking isn't just for show. It fundamentally determines your access to resources, your level of power, and your ability to move up or down that social ladder.
So this whole system is really built on a few key parts. First, you've got the hierarchy itself, the ladder. Then there's the fact that resources aren't passed out equally. That, of course, leads to differences in power over who gets to make the big decisions. And finally, you end up with barriers to social mobility, which really just means it can be incredibly hard to actually climb that ladder.
Okay, so what are these hierarchies actually based on? What are the pillars that are holding this entire structure up? Let's take a look.
And here is where you can see the real-world impact. When we talk about these pillars, things like race, gender, and socioeconomic class, a clear pattern emerges. You see, some groups have been historically advantaged, giving them much easier access to resources and power. Meanwhile, other groups have had to deal with systemic barriers that made that climb so much harder. And this isn't just some historical footnote. It actively shapes opportunities today, whether we're talking about life in Texas, across the United States, or really anywhere around the world.
You know, this isn't just some abstract theory you read in a book. This social architecture has profound, very real impacts on how people actually live their lives, both in the past and right now.
If you look back, these structures were often incredibly obvious. I mean, think about segregation laws that literally created two different worlds within the same city, all based on race. Or exclusionary laws that simply denied entire groups the right to vote, effectively silencing their voice in politics. Even the rigid, traditional gender roles that severely limited what was possible for half the population. These weren't just social norms. These were systemic rules that were baked right into the architecture of society. And believe me, that historical blueprint still casts a very long shadow. Today, your socioeconomic class can have a direct impact on the quality of your housing, the healthcare you receive, and the schools your kids go to. Race continues to be linked to major disparities in educational opportunities. And yeah, gender still plays a big role in who holds political power. These are all the modern echoes of that older architecture.
So, why are we digging into all of this? Why does understanding these invisible structures actually matter in our day-to-day lives?
Well, it matters for three really crucial reasons. First, it helps us move past simplistic stories and recognize that people living in the same country can have vastly different realities. Second, it sharpens our critical thinking. It pushes us to ask those important questions about fairness, equity, and access. And finally, and this one might be the most important, it helps us build empathy. It helps us understand the systemic forces that are shaping people's lives, often in ways that are far beyond their individual control.
Which leaves us all with a final, pretty powerful question to think about. We've spent this time looking at society as a kind of architecture. If that's really true, then what is our role, yours and mine, in its redesign?